Good morning and welcome to Michael, Luca, and Andrew's Excellent Adventure. I am very excited to be here today. We are going to talk about a lot of interesting and fun topics that we enjoy talking about. A lot happened over the weekend. Saturday night, Iona played a basketball game against Mount St. Mary's, and the Super Bowl was on Sunday. We will discuss that. Um, Andrew, what are your first thoughts about how you thought Iona played on Saturday?
I definitely think the way that they played reminded me a lot of last year's team in a sense. It's not really that good. It didn't really look like they had much heart playing. Not saying that they didn't, try as hard as they could, but like I know like key players like CJ Anthony was definitely having a rough go at it. Toby Harris, though, number 30, he did have a really good game from what I saw. Um, and then I believe his number is 9, right? Lamine Sabali had a pretty decent game. But I was expecting a little bit more out of Anglin as well, number 2, Denver Anglin.
Overall, that was not the best game they played on Saturday. Um, the main thing that I thought that took away from us was Iona. We didn't do a good enough job of boxing out. We didn't do a good enough job of grabbing the ball, and that sometimes determines the game. But I feel like if Iona continues to, if they get better at rebounding, if they can continue to, if they get better at rebounding, they become more consistent with rebounding and box out better, and they shoot consistently better, I think they have a chance of going to March Madness, and I think they have a chance of going on a run because I see a lot of great leadership in this team, and there's a lot of great players on the team that are very good leaders, and I feel like this team, a little bit more than last year, has a little bit more potential. We shoot better than the team last year, and I think we play with more heart than we did last year. And I just see a little bit more. I see a lot of growth and I see a lot of leadership from this team. Do you agree, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I think they really are a great team this season for sure.
I definitely think, yeah, they have taken a big step up from last year. The one player though, we did have him on our squad last year, and now we have him again this year. Luke Jungers. I'm not very high on him, and I just didn't understand why he was on the court as much as he was, and the number 4 from our team hasn't been on the court as much as he had been previously, like early in the season. And I feel like he's a very good scorer for us.
I 100% agree. Now, Sunday was the Super Bowl, and I have to say, I was very disappointed with the game. I felt like it was not a lot of action. I felt like there was not a lot of back and forth. I felt like the Seahawks defense was on fire. They were spectacular. They had a great plan. They got all after the Patriots quarterback. They got all over the Patriots offensive line. Drake May had no time to throw the ball. The Seattle had all of the control, but there wasn't a lot of action. There wasn't a lot of back and forth. It was very boring. And the fourth quarter, when they went up 19-0, that's when I said to myself, okay, it's over. I didn't say to myself it was over at halftime, but I did say to myself once they went up 19-0, okay, it's over. But I have to give Drake May a lot of credit. He fought till the end, and he got yeah, and right after the Seahawks scored, the Patriots responded, and but Seattle was just too much for them. And I have to say, this is the second year in a row where the Super Bowl has been disappointing. Last year, the Eagles absolutely dominated against the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense last year in the Super Bowl got no offense going. Again, the Eagles defense was dominant. It was 24 nothing at halftime, and it was 34 nothing in the second half. And it's just not a lot of action. And I felt like two Super Bowls were both different, but the Sunday Super Bowl was no action, no back and forth. Patriots had got no offense going, all defense by the Seahawks. And the Seahawks offense didn't play that well either. All they went down the field and they got in their red zone, but they couldn't score. And all they did was hit field goals. But their offensive line did a great job, and it was all defense. And I have to say, it was a disappointing game. Andrew and Luca, what were your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Yes, I have to agree with you. It was pretty disappointing. As you said, not a lot of action. Drake May, he was like constantly under pressure and getting sacked a lot. And, the Seahawks defense was great. So yeah, I agree with everything you said.
I agree with you as well, Michael Luca, and I believe Drake May did tie the record for most amount of sacks in a Super Bowl. And then yeah, he tied that record. Um, and it was just he did not do very good. And I believe the kicker, right, for the Seahawks broke the record for most amount of field goals in a Super Bowl. Um, which kind of brings me to my next question. So one of the questions that I want to ask both of you guys. So the Chiefs got destroyed by the Eagles last year in the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes, has since taken that negative sort of momentum into this season. Do you think that Drake May is due for a down season next year? Do you think that he's got a lot of potential and that he's going to do very good next year and in the years coming for the New England Patriots?
Luka, do you want to go?
Honestly, I would say, he does have a chance for a down season, and he could possibly let this bad Super Bowl performance get to him.
I truly believe that Drake May has a great future ahead of him. I believe that he will definitely go back to another Super Bowl and he will win a Super Bowl in his career. I think next season the Patriots are going to be great. I think he's going to build from this experience, and I think he's going to build from the learning experience. Chris Collinsworth, the announcer, even said this is just going to be a learning experience for Drake May and the Patriots. Drake May and the Patriots are going to learn from Sunday's game. They're going to see what went wrong, and they're going to take that and they're going to learn from it and improve on what they struggled with. And if they're not in the Super Bowl next year, within the next few years, the Patriots will get back to a Super Bowl. And I guarantee the next time Drake May's in a Super Bowl, he will win it. And if he doesn't win it, he will definitely he'll definitely play better than he did on Sunday. But in Drake May's defense, he's in a tough situation. He's 23 years old. He's only 3 years older than us. And he's in a Super Bowl against a tough defense. That's a big, big stage. And he fought till the end. The Patriots fought till the end. They never gave up. It just was not their night. And I can't blame it all on Drake May because the Patriots' offensive line did not perform well. They didn't do a good enough job blocking for Drake May. There was, he couldn't complete any passes, and May couldn't run, and it was a disappointing night for him. But I guarantee you, Drake May has a great future ahead of him. He's going to take this loss as a learning experience, and the whole team will. Mike Vrabel is an incredible coach. He's going to learn from this, and they're going to see what went wrong, and that they're definitely going to be back in the Super Bowl within the next few years. And yes, Patrick Mahomes had a great season last year. The Chiefs season didn't end the way they wanted to, but also it was the third year in a row in the Super Bowl. You can't be perfect every time in the Super Bowl. And this year, yes, the Chiefs did have a down year, but I also guarantee you this: Patrick Mahomes is a tough, tough competitor, and within the next few years, he will be back in the Super Bowl. And before he retires, he will win another Super Bowl. And I guarantee you, Drake May will win a Super Bowl without question. It just was not New England's night on Sunday. And while I was watching Sunday's game, there wasn't a touchdown in the first 3 quarters, and that was the first time it's happened since Super Bowl 53, the last time the Patriots won the Super Bowl, when Tom Brady won his 6th Super Bowl against the Rams. And I was in 7th grade, and literally the entire game was all defense, that whole game, Super Bowl 53. All game, no action, all defense. There was one red zone play the entire night. And I'll be honest with you, I think that was the case on Sunday's game too, because when the Seahawks scored the touchdown, or it could be wrong, but when the Seahawks scored the touchdown, it was close to the red zone, but I don't think they were even in the red zone. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe you are right about
Yeah,
that.
because Darnold threw like a 20-yard touchdown pass, and when Drake May threw the long touchdown pass, that was a long touchdown pass. But at the end of the game, when the Patriots scored their last touchdown, I believe that was in the red zone. But there was only one red zone play the whole game. In Super Bowl 53, it was 3-0 at halftime, and then 3-3 at the end of the third quarter. No red zone plays. But then Tom Brady came up clutch again. With like 10 minutes to go, he gets the ball back, and he threw a great pass down the field to Rob Gronkowski, and he caught it on the 2-yard line. Great throw. Patriots running back Sony Michel scores to make it 10-3. The Rams get the ball back. They go down the field and they put a drive together. And Jared Goff, the quarterback, threw a pass on like the 30-yard line, and he threw it into the end zone. And Stephon Gilmore, the Patriots cornerback, intercepted it. The Patriots got the ball back. They ran the clock out, and then they hit a field goal to make it 13-3. And as a matter of fact, the Super Bowl when I was in 7th grade, that was the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. And for a good portion of Sunday's game, I thought that game would beat the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever in 7th grade when I was in 7th grade. And for a good portion of that game, I thought the Patriots would be the first team. That Patriots team on Sunday would be the first team in Super Bowl history to score 0 points in a Super Bowl. There has never been a team since Super Bowl I up until Super Bowl 60 that has ever scored 0 points in a Super Bowl. That's never happened before. And I'll be honest with you, for a good portion of the game, I thought that the Patriots would be the first team to do that. And I also had a feeling I always had a feeling like in the second half that the Seahawks were going to win, but I also had a feeling that they would be the first team in Super Bowl history to win a Super Bowl without scoring any touchdowns. And that almost happened on Sunday. And I'll be honest with you, Seattle's defense played awesome, but their offense, wasn't spectacular. Do you agree with me, Luca and Andrew?
Yeah, I do. I do definitely agree with you as far as Seattle's offense goes. Like they didn't really have much going either, as it was just mostly field goals.
I would agree with you as well. I mean, it was mostly field goals. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was 9-0 after halftime.
It was, yes.
And they didn't really score any touchdowns until like the fourth quarter. It was a very action-packed fourth quarter, but other than that, not much action in the game.
Exactly. No action, very uneventful. And it has been the second year in a row where the Super Bowl has been disappointing. But guys, if you had to choose, which Super Bowl did you like better, this year's or last year's?
I would definitely have to say this year's because, this year's was bad too, but I feel like last year's was more of a blowout per se.
I have to agree with Luca on this one. I think this year's is a lot better, and even though there wasn't that much action this year, last year, was a blowout, and it's never fun to watch blowouts. But this year, up until the Seahawks made it 19-0, it was a close game. It was anybody's game, and so that's what kept you glued to the seat and kept you watching.
Correct. Like last year in the Super Bowl when the Eagles were playing the Chiefs and the Eagles were up 24-0 at halftime, I had two thoughts. I said to myself, I have a feeling the Eagles are going to pull this out. It's going to be hard for the Chiefs, but I also said to myself, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. He can do anything. And when I was in 8th grade, the season when Patrick Mahomes won his first Super Bowl 54, in the divisional round, the Chiefs were home and they were playing against the Texans. And the Texans were up 24-0 in the second quarter. And Mahomes put 4 touchdown drives together, and it was 28-24 at halftime. So they were down 24-0 in the second quarter, and the Chiefs took the lead at halftime, 28-24. And the Chiefs ended up winning the game 51-31. And in Mahomes' first Super Bowl win against the 49ers, the Chiefs were down 20-10 with about 10 minutes to go. And Mahomes threw a pass. Actually, it might have been with 7 minutes to go or 8 minutes. And Mahomes threw a pass like 60 yards, 50 yards downfield to Tyreek Hill. He caught it, and it was a very, very clutch play. And I think it was like on third down, like probably the best play of Mahomes' career. And then the Chiefs scored to make it 20-17. The Chiefs defense stopped the 49ers, and then the Chiefs scored again, 24-20. The 49ers threw an interception. The Chiefs picked it, and then the Chiefs score again. And the one that really, really was clutch with Mahomes was I was a sophomore in high school, and it was a divisional round game between the Chiefs and the Bills. And the Bills, it was 33-30 with less than a minute to go, and the Bills scored with 13 seconds left. It's 36-33. And I said to myself, I think Buffalo's going to win it. Mahomes gets the ball back with 13 seconds, and it's 36-33. And within the Bills were up 36-33, but they were up 3. Mahomes gets the ball back with 13 seconds, and Mahomes, within 13 seconds, gets them into field goal range and ties the game. And the Chiefs ended up winning in overtime. You can't get any more clutch than that. Do you remember that game, Luca and Andrew?
Yes, I do remember that game. That was a great game, and it really just shows how clutch the Chiefs are and that they never give up.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with Luca. I do remember it. I remember it vividly. but it was a fun game to watch.
Yes, and Mahomes got the ball back with 13 seconds, one play, got him in the field goal range. And after I watched that play and after I watched that, I said to myself, okay, Mahomes is legit. He's real. And he tied it. Harrison Butler tied it to make it 36-36. And then in overtime, Chiefs got the ball and Mahomes throws it to Kelsey. And they win the game in overtime. The following season, Super Bowl 57. The Eagles were up 24-14 at halftime, and the Chiefs scored on every possession in the second half. And that was the Super Bowl, and that was a great Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57 was a great game. And Mahomes going into that game had a bad ankle. And in like the second quarter, he hurt his ankle and he had to go out for a few minutes. And going into halftime, he was questionable about coming back, but he came out, scored on every possession. He was on fire, never gave up. And the best play of that game was on a scoring drive in the second half, and he just kept using his legs, and he ran like a good. He had a great solid run to get them into scoring position, and he had that solid run with the bad ankle, and then they won it again, Super Bowl 58. It was unreal. But here's a question I have, Luca and Andrew. Who do you think is the best baseball player to never win a championship?
I gotta say, hands down, Mike Trout from the Los Angeles Angels. Los Angeles Angels. I don't believe that they've even made the playoffs that much in recent years. Like since we've been kids, like little kids, I don't think they've made the playoffs that much. But Mike Trout is hands down when you think of baseball players, even like before like Aaron Judge was like a household name. You would think like, all right, someone would ask you, who's the best players in baseball? First name to come to mind, Mike Trout.
What do you think prevented him from winning a championship? Why do you think it never happened?
I mean, I would say because baseball is largely considered a team sport. And so like he was the best player on the team, right? Uh, but the team around him wasn't necessarily that good. The management, like the general manager, the owner, they weren't very keen on surrounding him with talent. They weren't very good at drafting and they weren't good at making free agent signings. The other player that they had that was pretty good as well, first baseman Albert Pujols, and left. Uh, he left as well because you know team wasn't really doing that good. They weren't really doing much. They have a history of bad signings. They have Luca, Anthony Rendon, who they had gotten in after the 2019 season, I believe. The Washington Nationals had lost him in free agency, and so like what Anthony Rendon does is like so he's all about the money. He doesn't care about actually like playing right and playing good. And he's a good ball player. Don't get me wrong. When he really wants to be there, he's a good ball player. But just he is not a team player, and you'll get players like that, and they'll make like bad signings, but they're expensive, so they can't go out and get someone else because they're a low market team to begin with anyway. So that kind of hurts them a lot.
Is Mike Trout, is he still in the league?
Yeah, but he's very injury prone.
Okay. Do you think he'll win a championship?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Here's a question. What baseball team do you think was the best baseball team to not win a championship?
Luca, you want to answer this one or I'll
Sure. Yeah, I would say one team that I wouldn't say it's the best team, but a pretty good team was the 2024 Yankees. They had Aaron Judge, obviously, and then Juan Soto, who had a great season. And they did very well in the playoffs.
Soto now.
Although then again, it was they kind of had an easy path to the World Series, and then just when it came time to the Dodgers and facing a legitimate team, they just couldn't beat them.
Any other teams that come to mind?
I would say the 2001 Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because they had 116 wins in the regular season. That's a lot of wins for a major league team. Most teams, you're lucky if you get a team that gets over 100 wins. I would say like 90 wins is even considered a lot. But most teams do it. It's doable. But yeah, no, they were really good and they didn't end up winning the World Series. But a big thing about baseball is you can get like 100, you could go like 162-0 right? And still lose in the World Series. Not baseball's not as predictable as football and as basketball. It's not as predictable at all. And you never know what might happen. You can go in with nobody being injured at all and still lose, you know. And it's more of just because some players just can't handle the pressure.
That is an excellent answer. And Luca and Andrew, you guys are the experts on baseball, but I believe that the best football player and the best leader to never win a Super Bowl and to never win a championship was Dan Marino, the Miami Dolphins quarterback. He got drafted in 1983 and he played in the NFL for like 16, 17 years, and he's a legend in Miami. He's actually still to this day the youngest quarterback to ever make it to a Super Bowl. And he went to Super Bowl 19 and played against Joe Montana, who was at the Super Bowl on Sunday. He did the coin toss. Did you guys see that?
Yes, I did see that.
Yes.
And Dan Marino and the Dolphins played against Joe Montana and the 49ers. And that was just not Dan Marino's day. The 49ers dominated, and the 49ers ended up winning 38-16. And to be honest, a lot of people thought, since Marino was so young in that Super Bowl, that he would go back to a Super Bowl, but he didn't go back to a Super Bowl. And Dan Marino was a leader. He and Peyton Manning, my favorite NFL player, who was also at the Super Bowl on Sunday, he said after his dad retired, Archie Manning retired when he was 9 years old, he said, okay, now that my dad's retired, I got to find a new quarterback and a new player to root for, and his was Dan Marino. And Peyton Manning went and interviewed Dan Marino a couple of years ago, and Dan Marino said in an interview, I did everything in my career, but the one thing I'll never know what it feels like is I don't know what it's like to walk off that field on Sunday and be a Super Bowl champion. I wish I could be able to feel that feeling, but I'll never be able to feel that feeling. And he was a passing leader. Peyton Manning ended up breaking his touchdown records. Dan Marino always looked for ways to make his teammates good around them. They went to the playoffs. They just could not win in the playoffs. And he always competed hard, broke records, but that was just the one thing he never could do was win a Super Bowl. And I think the other day, people said that, Drake May, he's 23 years old, and he was the same age where Dan Marino went to his first Super Bowl. And Drake May, he has a lot of potential, and he didn't win the Super Bowl on Sunday. But I think Drake May will get back to a Super Bowl, and I think he's going to win one. And the best football team, I think the best team never to win a championship was the 2007 New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Wes Welker. That offense was absolutely on fire. Tom Brady threw 50 touchdown passes that season, and half of them he threw to legend Randy Moss. And Randy Moss is another player who never won a Super Bowl. And he was an incredible player. And the Patriots constantly put up a ton of points. They were unstoppable. They were 18-0, the first team to ever go 18-0 to have a chance to go 19-0. And still to this day, they break records. And going into Super Bowl 42, they're playing against the Giants. The Giants have 6 or 7 losses in the regular season. And the Super Bowl 42, the Giants were the big underdogs, and the Patriots were favored to win. And the Giants head coach Tom Coughlin, legendary coach, he went into that game with a great defensive mindset. And the Giants defense led by Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora, Jay Alford, Corey Webster, all those guys on the Giants defense absolutely stuck to the game plan. They were spectacular getting after Tom Brady. They dominated on defense. The Patriots on their first offensive possession went down the field and scored a touchdown. And to be honest with you, they didn't do anything until 6 minutes left in the game, and they only scored 14 points. And the Patriots usually scored 30 to 40 points a game, and they only scored 14 points in that game. And the Giants ended up winning the game. That was legendary. Another team in football that I thought was the best team to not win a Super Bowl was the 2013 Denver Broncos, led by Peyton Manning, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, who was on the Patriots. Wes Welker was a great player. but played in 3 Super Bowls and lost all 3. And in Super Bowl, 48, the Broncos scored more offensive touchdowns than any team in history. 505 points, like 76 touchdowns. Peyton Manning won the MVP that year. Do you think Matthew Stafford deserved to win the MVP this year?
Yes, I do definitely think he deserved it. He was a great quarterback and he had a great season for sure.
And Peyton has won more MVP awards than anybody. He won it in 2013, and people predict it. And again, that's when the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl. The Seahawks had the best defense in the league, and Peyton had the best offense. It's supposed to be the best Super Bowl, and sadly, the Broncos choked and they did terrible in that Super Bowl. But they never give up, and they ended up winning it 2 years later. But that 2013 Denver Broncos team, that offense, they did it. They broke records. They were a great team, and they're up there with winning a championship. And also the 2001 Rams with Kurt Warner. That's when Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl. The Rams were really good that year, and they weren't supposed to win that Super Bowl, but the Patriots ended up winning. That was good. We had a great discussion today with Luca and Andrew. Thank you very much for joining us. We're looking forward to having another excellent adventure next week. Thank you.